to take a look in the chat box, Kristen provided a link to a Google site. You can hop on that Google site really quick and it will give you a link to download which market manager training manual that you need if you want to follow along, or just download it. I mean, follow along is probably not accurate, but if you want to take a look while we're talking.
And you might have to resend that link again.
Yeah. I said that it didn't come up.
Because we still have some people coming in.
Okay.
When you get there, you'll see that there's one that says double up only. And so if you're only doing double up and not Fresh RX, then you should get that one. If you're doing Fresh RX and double up, then you should get the one that says Fresh RX and double up, or it might say nutrition incentive. I don't remember what I wrote. And then if you're a single point of sale outlet like a farm stand or a CSA, then you'll do the single point of sale link.
The link is in the chat now, everybody.
Saban, what's your kids' names?
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Matthew. Say hi, Matthew. And this is Liam.
Hi, Liam.
This one just turned 3 and this one's 1.5. Yeah.
All right. All right, so let's get started. The link where you can download your manager guide, if you would, is good for just getting it electronically. If you need to get a copy of it on paper, you can let us know that by sending your application for Double Up Food Bucks this year. You should have that email in a link, but if you don't have it for some reason, let me know and we can get it out to you. If you could sign up for it pretty soon, at least just put down your, your contact info and which way you'd like to receive it, that you'd like it in the mail. That way we know how many to get printed and how many we need to send out. Also, if you need a binder, you should get one on your own. You can send us the receipt from getting the binder or printing the manager guide and we'll reimburse you. But sending actual binders to everybody would have been really, really tough. So I'm not gonna do that as a general rule. If there's something weird going on, let me know. We'll work something out. Any questions about that? Nope. Okay, good deal. I'll go ahead and get my PowerPoint up. Maybe. Alrighty. So you will notice that this says Nutrition Incentive Programs 2020. That's because we're starting a new program this year called Fresh RX. It's a kind of adjacent to Double Up Food Bucks. And if you are participating in it, you've already met the Fresh RX program manager. Her name's Kirsten, and I'll let her introduce herself really quick.
Yeah, good morning. Nice to see some familiar faces. I'm Kirsten Hansen, and I was hired in December, beginning of January, to launch the Fresh RX program. It's a produce prescription program, and it's participating at a small number of markets. We're going to try to grow it as time goes on. And there's a whole segment on that later today for those of you already participating. It's nice to see everyone.
Kristen and I will be working as a team. So if I'm on vacation or otherwise unavailable from now on, you can reach out to her, even if it's about Double Up, because her program and my program run off of the same grant. So she knows a lot of the answers to the questions that you guys might have. So if you can't get a hold of me for some reason, you'll be able to reach out to her and she'll be able to answer your questions. Not that I go on vacation that often, but just in case, sometimes it happens. So since this is Zoom, I kind of try to lay out how much time would be in each little kind of section of this webinar. And that way, if you need to go run and get another cup of coffee or something, you can leave at a good point. So we're going to talk about all of the Double Up outlets, and then I'll talk to the single point of sale outlets like farm stands and stuff for about 15 minutes at 10:15. And then we'll talk about the farmers markets. And then we will have a little session for Kristen's Fresh RX program, which if you aren't part of the Fresh RX program, but you'd like to learn a little bit more about it, you're welcome to stay and listen. So don't feel like you're not invited, because you are. So overview of last year, Double Up was pretty popular last year. There, you could see, all right. So you can see right here, this was 2020's Double Up and Snap sales at your outlets compared to 2019. That's a pretty exponential jump in sales. And these right here are the number of Double Up transactions between previous years, 2019 and 2020. Those also jumped more than exponentially. So it was a pretty busy year for you guys. And the sales and the number of customers really showed that. And at this point, I'd like to open it up if anybody has a comment about what these graphs show. The USDA just put out some information I think on Tuesday, that said that they're gonna be adding $100 per person per EBT. So everybody who has EBT is gonna continue getting extra SNAP funding. So we can expect this to continue.
Did you all feel it at your markets? Like, did it feel busier?
Yes, it did. I was pretty busy with it, even though I didn't have that many farmers because of grasshoppers and no rain.
Can I say something? Am I unmuted?
Yep.
It did not feel bigger here in Fort Sumner. And I think it's because most everybody that's on the food stamps goes to Clovis or Santa Rosa or Roswell, and they wipe out all of their EBT in the first purchase, and they don't have any left. And so I remind, to tell them not to use, but that's the problem I found here. I don't know if anybody else does.
I think there were a few markets that saw what you saw, Janet. Was I think you had less customers than previous years, but overall it was mostly a lot more.
Our market saw an increase. Right now, we'd normally be about 300 or 400. but we've been putting out about 800 to 900, sometimes 1,000.
Gaia has her hand up from Cuesta. Gaia, want to unmute yourself?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We, Quest Farmers Market, since we had our EBT and Double Up Food Bucks set up, we ended up helping another farmers market at the Farmhouse Cafe that was sort of a CSA farmers market pop-up kind of thing that appeared in response to COVID. So that made everything extra wild for us. And we did have an increase at our market too in Cuesta for certain.
Aha!
Oh.
The diet.
What's going on?
If,
Yeah. Sorry, my kid keeps unmuting and muting the button when I'm not looking. But we saw, it was kind of an increase at our market, but I felt like a large part of that was because of the brochures or something you guys had sent out.
oh, we send mailers with the human.
Yeah, so I don't know, like more people showed up to the market this time because they were like, oh, I got this in the mail and I didn't know you did that. So that was really helpful.
Good. Along these lines, if any of you guys find yourselves needing more tokens, let me know, especially if you need the SNAP tokens, we got to order those, so let me know ASAP. But if you just need Double Up tokens, then I can send those out. A few of the winter markets, the markets that have winter times, are seeing people have a lot on their EBT card, and so they're coming in to buy like a cow, and that is a lot of money. So the market managers are having to match with Double Up with the SNAP, and that is causing them to not have any tokens. So if you anticipate something like a bunch of meat sales in April or May or June, before you get enough produce to be having the Double Up tokens come back to you, you might want to stock up and just let me know that you want more. I made a whole order, so the office is overflowing with Double Up tokens.
I have a question about that, Sarah.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to so let's say someone spends $500 and they don't want 250 tokens, there's not a lot of produce yet. Can we do like a running tally for them that as they have to get, I see Kristen shaking her head no, but they have to get all of those tokens when they make their order. We can't like keep track of how many tokens we owe someone and then give them to them as there's more produce available at market.
I'm going to say that my official answer to that is no.
Okay.
If a customer doesn't want the Double Up tokens, they don't have to get them. Just write on your customer record sheet that you gave 300 SNAP and 0 Double Up, or 100 Double Up, or whatever happens. But if they are refusing the Double Up, you don't have to give it to them.
No, it wasn't about refusing Double Up, and now that we're getting a shipment, we're not sure. It was just when I was concerned that we were going to run out, that was one of my thoughts was, well, I can keep a list of who I owe tokens to and then give them to them.
Yeah, I would say in a pinch that would be okay. If you're, a small enough market, I don't think that would work in Santa Fe or Albuquerque, but it would probably work for you in a pinch.
Sure, and we only have so many customers who are spending that much money. And they're regular customers when they're doing that. And then I have just one more question looking forward as our Double Up sales are growing so much. I know when I visited like California, they have a limit for Double Up customers on how much they can spend per market. And I know that we really haven't hit the top of our Double Up sales, but would that be something that could happen in New Mexico where we might not be able to say it's unlimited, but you can only do $20 a market for Double Up?
In theory, it could happen. The likelihood of it happening is pretty low. we in the past have had more funding than we could get rid of. Like, honestly, if you want anything for your market right now, ask me for it, because I'm trying to spend some money. But I mean, it has to be double up related, obviously, but the chances of that happening are pretty low. But I would say that this summer, because of our funding situation in between grants, it might happen, maybe, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. So I wouldn't be worried about it. If I mean, I personally am concerned, but it's not something you guys need to worry about at all.
Thanks.
So, anybody else? Concerns or comments? Okay. So last year, we usually show this slide. You can see that the farmers markets are still where the majority of double up sales are happening. The CSAs and mobile markets are a pretty small fraction of the double up sales, but the farm stands are really catching up with the markets. So good job, farm stands. And the grocery stores are 20, or they're getting up to 20%. So bringing on the Lowe's stores is really helping bring those numbers up for the grocery stores as far as percentages, but still the vast majority of double up is still happening at the markets. So a lot of you guys have asked me about COVID and the COVID rules, and I don't have answers at the moment, but what I can tell you is that the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Health are working together to make sure that the grocery rules and the farmers market rules make sense, because farmers markets and farm stands are not grocery stores, right? But you're both selling food, so it wasn't necessarily something that the Department of Health was thinking about critically when they made the rules originally. Everything was just kind of wild. But now that we're moving into having the color system by county, what I'm going to say is you need to be prepared for your county to be in each of these sections. So if your county is in red a lot, you'll probably need to be really prepared for the red rules. But with the cases going down the way that they are, we'll probably all be moving to yellow or green. Maybe one day we'll get in turquoise and we can like go places and see other human beings.
We
You
are,
guys are in turquoise
we are
today.
turquoise.
Oh,
You
are
are
you?
in turquoise. No, Santa Fe is.
Oh, is it? Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
Santa Fe, San Juan County, we all moved to turquoise yesterday.
And there's no more red counties in the whole state.
Yay.
Hey, hey.
Collective happiness.
I
Um,
got-
Fort Sumner, Tobacco County is also turquoise.
That's awesome. I didn't watch the news last night because I got my COVID shot yesterday and I don't feel good. So that's great to hear, though, that we have some turquoises, but that's going to be my answer. So I know a lot of you had contacted me about what you should be prepared for, and I don't know yet, but we will find out soon.
Sarah, this is kind of a random question. So because farmers markets are considered essential, technically that puts our vendors as essential workers. I wonder if there's some sort of letter from the state that we can give them to, like, if they've not been able to get on a vaccine list, if like we as a market can give them a letter. I don't know how that works. I had to give letters to some of my farmers on the Navajo Nation when the Navajo Nation would go onto lockdown that they were essential employees and like had to get to the farmers market. But That's been a question I've
I'm
had
not-
from some vendors,
I'm
like,
not
do
sure
they
if it-
have to have the vaccine to vend? And I've said no, but I'm just wondering if people want to get the vaccine and they've not been able to.
I'm sure that you
This is Kimi. I'm not sure if that's required. You get to say when you sign up on the registry that you're an agricultural worker. And we got called way earlier than we expected to be called. We got fully vaccinated, and I don't know if other people have been having a harder time with that.
it
Yeah,
is
last Friday, all of agricultural and grocery essential workers, the vaccinations opened up for everyone. And so I went to all my vendors and let them know. And I have a relationship here with the Department of Health, and we have a direct number that we can call at the Department of Health to get, even if you've gotten you have to register first, but if you've gotten an event code and you couldn't make that appointment, all of my vendors are able to call the Department of Health directly and talk to someone over there to get to a DOH distribution. And I know that's different per county, but that would be a good place to start.
I would I mean that's probably why I suddenly became eligible too, but I would say if a vendor wants a vaccination and they're going to be forward facing, you know, like a cashier basically, or somebody who works at a grocery store, and they're not getting called really soon, then call the local Department of Health or even the COVID hotline. Because definitely if a vendor wants to get vaccinated before really going into market season, they should definitely get it. Oh, any other comments about COVID? Okay. So, what's new this year? And why is this training super mandatory this year? So, a few different things. First of all, online reporting is going to change. So, because there's going to be the Fresh RX program, and then also the Double Up program is changing from a Finney grant to a GusNIP grant. We're going to have a different online reporting system. I can't show it to you today because I'm currently building it. So when it is available, we will all switch from doing the Double Up or the data.doubleup food bucks, and it'll look different, and I will let you all know and provide training when that does come around. In a minute, I'll talk more about the changes in between Finney and GusNIP and when you can expect that to start happening. I'm also going to go over EBT machine options, online SNAP, and product eligibility, because that is going to change at some point with GusNIP as well. So the Finney grant that's been paying for Double Up since 2016, and it also paid for the pilot in 2015, is ending on the 31st of May. At which point the NMFMA will not be running Double Up under a federal grant. We'll just be using money from the state and private foundations for covering the Double Up food bucks expenses and the food dollars. So you don't have to worry about not getting reimbursed, but from my perspective, it changes what the rules are and what reporting requirements I have. And then really soon we'll have the new online database for reporting. In July, the Fresh RX program will launch, and that is under GusNIP. So any outlets that are participating in Fresh RX will start having the GusNIP requirements and having the reporting is just a little bit different. If any of you guys remember when I was doing quarterly reports for Finney, it's still just a few questions that we need to check and make sure, like, did you have WIC senior checks? They're not really invasive. You could do it pretty quickly. But that again in September or maybe before, we aren't sure. We will find out if we got the GusNIP award for food bucks. And while I'm expecting that to happen, it's not going to count my eggs before they hatch, right? So at that point, we'll know or not know what's going to happen next. And if we do get the double up GusNIP grant, in October, the rules are going to change in between Finney and GusNIP, which changes a lot for me, but is it going to make your life that much different in October? Not too much, except for product eligibility will change. And I realize that getting all 100 of you to kind of change in October
He's talking about why training is super mandatory this year.
really bad. So it will be a transition. I don't expect anybody to just make a change overnight. But if you decide that it's right for you to change in October, or maybe before, if the USDA awards grants before October, you're welcome to. Especially if you're a year-round outlet, it would probably make sense for you to start transitioning at that point. But again, like, don't stress out. It's a transition. And my slide doesn't want. Okay. So next I'm going to talk about FNS and FIS and EBT machines. So if you don't have a machine for some reason, you can get one for free from the state of New Mexico that's wireless if you're a farmer's market, and that is based on the FNS number being new, not necessarily on the market being new. So if you're transitioning from a previous market manager to a new market manager, if the machine hasn't been working right or you want a new one, you can get a new one if there's a new FNS number. And then if you're a farm stand and you need a new machine and you're okay with one being wired, which sometimes people aren't for various reasons, then you can get a wired machine as a farm direct outlet from FNS for free. Usually you're still responsible for transaction fees, but like the cost of the actual machine is covered in that case. However, if you are not happy with FIS's product or their customer service or anything like that, I want everybody to know that there are options. In the past, the options have been fairly cost intensive, but there's this new phone app. Basically, it's called Market Link, and the rates for these are really subsidized by the USDA, so they're a lot more affordable. There's not a receipt that prints off because it's a phone app. It's a lot like a Square. You just swipe the card on your phone. And but if you did get one of those and you need a batch report for my purposes, there you can like download an Excel document that shows what your transactions for the day were. This product is kind of new. It's been growing over the last few years, but it's at a point where I feel really comfortable being like, if you aren't happy with what service you're getting provided by FIS, then switching over to this market link might really be an option. And if you're interested, let me know. I can send you information. Also, there's a salesperson who I can connect you with because she really wants me to tell you guys about it. But that's not why I'm telling you about it. I'm telling you about it because it's actually something that works well in other places.
Sarah, Bonnie asks whether the new machines take debit and EBT. They can handle both.
MarketLink can. The machines from FIS or FNS will not. That's another reason I'm telling some of you guys about it, because you like having debit and credit options at your outlet was a really good thing in the past, but now a lot of you don't have it, and so that's been kind of rough for some of you. But MarketLink will be able to do both. Any other questions about that? Excuse me, sorry.
Do you have any idea how much the market link will cost the market?
I have like a brochure that I can send you that salesperson sent me.
It is, being subsidized. It's on the radar screen of the USDA and other people. So there's money out there to hopefully curb the cost a little bit.
Yeah, it is subsidized. Sorry, guys.
Because I think we originally signed up with MarketLink, with WorldPay, and then realized that, with FIS, it was totally free except transaction costs, so we switched over.
Yeah, it's the company has undergone some really major changes in the last 2 years or so, and now it's actually something that I would recommend. As opposed to like 5 years ago, I would have been like, no.
Because did MarketLink go bankrupt, or did the WorldPay that was doing the payments?
It was, I think it was called Total Pay, I think. But they're using the technology from Total Pay, and yeah, it used to be a really sketchy product, but now it's actually legit.
Yeah, actually, when we first signed up with the MarketLink, it was actually quite good. It was all done with a smartphone, and it was very straightforward and easy. They sent us a little printer to print out receipts, and it was just an app.
Yeah, the anybody who's using Clover is actually, if they're taking EBT transactions with Clover, they're using the MarketLink app. So it's definitely come a long way. But yeah, anybody who's interested, send me an email and I will forward you the info. So next I'm going to talk about online SNAP. And I was in a discussion about online SNAP a couple weeks ago at a state or nationwide conference. And the guy who was talking about it used to work at FNS, and he recently retired. And he said online SNAP is like building an airplane while flying it. And I thought it was funny because it's kind of true. So some background on online SNAP. EBT cards are debit cards, and you can't run them as credit. Like a normal debit card, if you go and you swipe it at the store, it'll give you the option. Do you want to swipe it as debit or credit? Or if you use your debit card on the internet, it's going to run it as credit because you're not putting in your PIN number. EBT machines, you have to use the PIN number. It's legally mandated. So the technology behind being able to take online SNAP is about 6 years in the making. It was a really huge undertaking for the USDA and for the programmers who helped build the capability to take debit and EBT online. EBT online was supposed to be a pilot program that was really launching at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. And then COVID made it go from an almost proof of concept pilot to full scale across the country almost immediately. And it was pretty tough. The requirements for the online store are also really sophisticated. And so right now doing online SNAP for a small to medium sized business is really kind of out of reach. But the folks I'm in contact with on a national level are aware that it's really out of reach for smaller and medium sized businesses. So they're expecting within the next year or maybe 2 years, it will be in reach. And there's definitely conversation about subsidizing the cost of setup for places like farmers markets and direct sales, so that it's also in reach of direct sales and farmers markets, because they recognize that the cost and the technology requirements to participate in it are something that a farmers market wouldn't normally be able to handle. If you're thinking about wanting to do online SNAP in the future, you should also be aware that if you get the technology like the online store, you'll also have to coordinate with your vendors. This was a lesson learned from the Albuquerque outlets, because they did kind of online SNAP and they did a kind of online store at the beginning of COVID, and downtown is doing it again right now. But you have to get all your vendors to tell you earlier in the week what they're going to have available. They've got to send you pictures of it. You've got to keep the product catalog up to date every week, because everything changes every week. And that can be a really big administrative burden. So if you are interested, it will be on the horizon soon-ish for outlets like ours, but it will also be an undertaking that you should think about. Any questions on online SNAP? Oh, and Kristen should put in the chat box an article from the Farmers Market Coalition about online SNAP. Okay.
I'll look for it.
It should be in Slack.
I'll go find it.
All right. So then earlier I talked about a little bit about the changes for GusNIP. The GusNIP refund requirements has changed. In the past, we've been able to we always can and always will be able to refund SNAP, because you can do that through your machine. It's totally fine. The USDA doesn't want the SNAP tokens to be returned ever. So from now on, if someone does do a return of the SNAP funds, you should tell them to keep the double up tokens. They can use it that day or a different day to get the free fruits and vegetables. And then if a customer is unhappy with their double up food bucks purchase, they shouldn't get a double up token back from the vendor. They should just get an exchanged product from that vendor. Any questions about that? Okay.
I had a question.
Okay.
You were saying, I was kind of in and out there. You were saying that if we have to make a return for the SNAP, like I did last year, I made my first return with that. Let them keep whatever we had given out for the double up then?
Correct.
Okay. But then, so are we able to use double up through the summer, or is that going to be?
So just in the case of if someone wants to return the SNAP, they can return the SNAP, but they can't return the double up token.
Right. Okay, thank you.
They should just get a product exchange instead of a return of the incentive. All right. And then as far as eligibility goes, Fresh RX is a lot like Double Up is right now. The food products that get purchased with Fresh RX are fresh and New Mexico grown, but they can also be cut. So an example of cut would be half of a watermelon, which doesn't happen a lot, but if somebody was selling that, it would be allowable. And Kirsten can't answer any questions about that, but in September or October, when Double Up Food Bucks goes into being a GusNIP grant, the Double Up Food Bucks eligibility will change. It won't only be fresh. It will be fresh, dried, frozen, and cut. So any sort of really light processing would be allowable. So in the past, Chicos haven't been allowed because they're dried. They would be eligible. And like frozen green chili would be allowable. This isn't going to change right now, so I didn't like list anything because I didn't want to confuse anyone, but product eligibility will be opening up some in when we get the GusNIP grant awarded. Unfortunately, pecans are not going to be allowable, but I do have actual like proof from the USDA that they consider pecans a protein and not a fruit or vegetable. So if you have a vendor who is not very happy about this, I have actual like documentation now, and we can provide that if needed. Any questions about this?
I have a question. This is Siri from Santa Fe.
Yep. Hey.
So just so I understand, you're saying that for Fresh RX, the eligibility is going to be slightly different than Double Up, but then Double Up, when GusNIP kicks in, is going to change to be similar to Fresh RX, so that, you know, light processing products like dried or frozen or cut might be okay under Double Up after July.
Probably September or October, but
not till September, October. Okay. So Fresh RX is going to roll out and have different products that are eligible from Double Up for a few months, and then Double Up will change to be closer to Fresh RX.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I am so sorry, everyone.
We are so sorry. We are just, yeah.
I really wish that the USDA would have their, application process and award process be a little bit easier for us. And that's why at the beginning, I was really very much stressing, like, this is a transition. And like in 2016, when I was like, we're all going to learn together because I don't know what's happening. This year, we're all going to transition together, and it's going to be something.
Sarah, we have some questions about this. We have one, are piñón also excluded?
Yes.
And what about dried beans? Dried beans are fine for mine.
The eligibility for dried beans with Double Up will also expand.
But for now, for the summer season, dried beans are okay for Fresh RX, but not for Double Up until the new grant kicks in. And we know it's confusing, and we do apologize. We
Yeah.
have some hands as well.
The before I take the next question, in the nutrition incentive manager guides, if you're doing both programs, the eligibility as it stands today and as it will be until GusNIP kicks in is very specifically laid out, so you can see exactly what all the rules are.
Bonnie has her hand up.
Hi, I'm also at the Santa Fe Farmers Market and am wondering, I'm a little bit new to this position, and so I don't know how FreshRx has changed, if at all, but I'm wondering if FreshRx is ever able to purchase CSA shares, or if that is not an option at this time.
It would be allowable under Santa Fe's system. Yes.
Yeah, Bonnie, this is Siri. I think it would probably work the way we're doing SNAP now for CSAs, where folks can, bring their voucher, their FreshRx voucher, and use it towards the purchase of a CSA, because the vouchers are only going to be worth $25, or I forget what it is per patient, but
I think it
wouldn't, not enough to cover a whole CSA, but they could use that in combination with SNAP and Double Up to pay for a CSA, because it sounds like FreshRx. Yeah,
I'm super excited about trying to make FreshRx a thing for CSA as a more viable option. So if anyone is able to talk about that with me,
right,
I'm super down for it.
Great. We'll go into it more during the FreshRx session at the end of all this. And if we don't fully dig into it, then we can totally dig into it together. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mike has a question.
Just real quick, Sarah, for you or Kirsten, it's with the FreshRx program and the allowing of cut fruit. Well, is it a good idea for the markets to just create some kind of SOP for their farmers to follow for food safety purposes?
Probably.
This is why we love you, Mike. This is why we love you. Yeah, you want to do that for us, Mike? We would love for you to create an SOP for our markets so that they can cut fruit for FreshRx. That would be awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for volunteering.
Okay, I mean, it's just a good idea to protect our markets is all I'm trying to say, is that way they can hand it out to their farmers. I don't have a problem doing that, so I'll get out of your way now. Thank you.
No, it's awesome. And those kinds of details are so important. And as we launch something new, those are the details that we're gonna fall through our fingers, because we just don't know what we don't know. So that's awesome, Mike. Thanks.
Okay. Bonnie, I see your hands up again, but we're running behind. So let's chat later.
I think that was an accident. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Alrighty. So there will be changes this year. And when we get to the point where it's going to change, the rules are going to change into GusNIP, I will definitely be communicating with everyone really in detail about everything that needs to change. So please don't stress out about it. Or if you are stressing out about it, then call me and we can commiserate. All right, so now we're going to talk about the single point of sale outlets, which is farm stands and CSAs and mobile markets, and anybody who doesn't fit in one of those categories but only has a register. So the first, get this. The first thing I wanted to chat about was customer record sheets. When I was checking over all of your records for last year, there were some of you guys who aren't leaving 2 spaces in between dates. And since I am checking everything. If you could be leaving 2 spaces in between dates, or just enough space that I can know that the date's changed, that would be fantastic. It can get really hard to read. So then the next thing that I noticed in the paperwork as just kind of a general thing that happened was that you guys are adding your days correctly, like on each individual customer record sheet for a day. All of that is added up accurately, but then the weekly totals where you've added like, you know, Monday through Sunday is inaccurate. And sometimes by a little bit, like not enough to care, but then sometimes it's pretty significant. So if you could just double check that, I find that using an adding machine is super helpful when I'm checking records. I also realize that it's the middle of the season and you guys do all of your work in 3 months. So it can get pretty challenging. And so those are just 2 notes about checking your records at the end of the year that I noticed is kind of starting to be issues. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was using technology at your outlet. If you are thinking about transitioning or you have transitioned into some sort of technology solution like Clover, or you started using a point of sale device that has all of your reports going into like a spreadsheet, or you're thinking about moving that way, if you can run the report that shows we did 35 transactions and they were for $100, and then we gave out $25 of double up food bucks. If your report can tell me that stuff for the month or for the week or anything like that, you don't need to be using the customer record sheets with your staff, like actually writing stuff down, because the point of sale can show me that, and we don't need to be messing with like 500 batch reports. So if you have transitioned or you're gonna transition, let me know. There are a lot of technology solutions out there right now, and a few of the single point of sale outlets have switched, and then they're like, well, I need to go check my Clover report and see why the customer record sheet doesn't match. And I'm like, why are you filling out paperwork when the computer can do it for you? So if you need help figuring out how to do that, or you want to make the switch, let me know and we can get you set up to do that so that you're not duplicating work. Any questions from single point of sale outlets? Okie dokie. The final thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was if you are in need of different marketing materials for your farm stand or your mobile market, like if the marketing materials we've provided aren't working for you for some reason, like they're not reaching your customers, your customers aren't able to locate double up eligible products because you don't have good signage or anything like that, let me know, because we can get you materials made specifically for your outlet. And that also includes website stuff, especially for the CSAs. Alrighty. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, we'll move on to the farmers market slides. So first for the farmers markets, we've got the due dates here. So April 19th, if you need wood tokens, let me know. I'll probably, if enough people during the middle of the summer need wood tokens, I might do a mid-season order. Excuse me, sorry. But please, if you need more, just let me know by the 19th. And then if you want more double up tokens, let me know by May 1st and I'll send out a bunch. But if you find yourself mid-season and you need more, you can let me know. We've got a whole bunch of at the office, so I can get those out pretty quick as opposed to the wood ones that take a while. Earlier I said something about fill out the application sooner than later if you want the paper copy of the manager guide. But if you need to wait for some reason, they're due on May 1st. And that way we can get out the brochures and update the website for everybody. So those can get sent out in June. And then on July 1st, the Fresh RX program will launch, and new online reporting should be fully implemented, and vendors should be all fully trained for either both programs or just the program that they'll be participating in. The training for Fresh RX and Double Up Food Bucks for vendors is going to be the same. So if they're trained for one, they'll be trained for both. Yes, Catherine. Catherine, did you have a question? Maybe it was an accident.
No,
Oh.
it wasn't an accident. I'm sorry. I hadn't undone the mute. Okay, this says Fresh RX launches July 1. And an earlier slide said July 4th. I thought. No?
If it did, that was a typo.
So the launch date is July 1st.
Correct.
Okay. Now, does that apply, that launch date apply to markets that have been doing Fresh RX in the past?
So Fresh RX is changing. Were you part of the Prez Fresh RX?
Yes, right.
So Prez,
Is this an entirely new program?
it is a totally new program. Prez Fresh RX is now part of our Fresh RX program, and it's smaller and larger in scope. So it's available at less of the Albuquerque markets, but it's available at more of the markets statewide. And I don't believe that Nob Hill is part of the pilot program.
Unfortunately, Catherine, no. And, we're going to roll it out, see how it goes, and hopefully be able to expand. But for now, if your market is participating in Fresh RX, you already know about it.
So will we continue with?
No.
No. In other words, we will not be able to accept prescriptions this year.
That's correct.
Okay. That's really unfortunate. We had quite a lot before. Our customers are going to be disappointed. Okay. Thank you.
Reach out anytime though, Catherine. We can talk about the future. I'd be happy to talk about the future.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. So most of you guys are already counting your tokens for, oh, yeah, what's up, Rhonda?
I was confused about the date.
Sorry, Rhonda, you cut off again?
Am I on now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I was confused about the range of dates on the previous slide for what is due.
Oh, let me go back.
It's not clear to me.
So April 19th is wood tokens. May 1st is double up tokens. And the applications for double up food bucks, like the Google form, is due on May 1st.
If there are applications for whom?
For double up food bucks.
Are you talking about vendors or the market?
The markets.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So in the past, a lot of you have already started doing token counting audits. And I started trying to do that a couple years ago because it's what most of the double up programs are doing around the country, and it's working really well. So I would like most of, if not all of you, to start doing your token counts at the beginning of the season and the end of the season. And that just means the double up tokens. I don't need the snap token counts. If that's not going to work for you for some reason, let me know. And then also we've got a double up token counting machine that you're very welcome to borrow at any time. And the other big thing that's going to change starting this year is we're not going to have the vendor contracts anymore. The vendor preseason vendor agreements are going to go away. What's going to happen instead is the NMFMA is going to have a training for all of the vendors, and they can either do it on the computer, which is preferred, or they can do it on paper with you guys at your markets. Once a vendor is trained, in general, their training will be valid at all farmers markets. So if, like, let's say there's a vendor that sells their produce in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Espanola, then that vendor only needs to get trained once. They don't need to have 3 different vendor agreements with each market. And in order to prove that they've done the training through the NMFMA, they'll get a certificate. If they do it online, the certificate will be online and they can print it off or save it as a PDF. And if they do it in person, you guys will have copies of the certificates that you can fill out by hand. And these certificates should be displayed at the booth the same way that the WIC and senior check certificates are from the Department of Health. And I imagine lots of questions are about to happen.
This is Siri from Santa Fe, and I have questions. Mostly just about staffing and support for the outreach to the vendors around this new training. And I know we talked about this a little bit in our meeting with Kirsten regarding Fresh RX, but I just was hoping you guys could say a little bit about the intention of NMFMA to support markets, especially like the farmers market in Santa Fe, where we have, 130 to 140 vendors and no program staff right now at all. So can you just talk a little bit about the intention to help us with getting these trainings making sure that vendors do the training?
Right. So Siri, you guys are kind of in like a special category in between.
We're so special.
Yeah. It's because your ED quit and so did your
yeah, I know. Everybody's gone. It's just me and Anna.
When you're
so glad you're still there, Siri. We're so glad you're still there. And, just rest assured, the training, that's part of it. We're trying to take it off your hands. We're trying,
Awesome.
It's online. We're going to reach
Mhm.
out to the vendors. We're going to track who's done the training and who hasn't. We're going to provide paper training for you to have at the market for folks just to spend the 15 minutes it's going to take. It's not
Yeah.
master's degree in eligibility.
Uh-huh.
And so hopefully our hope is that by putting it online, that a significant number of folks will be able to access it and will be taking it out of your hand.
And just do it without needing to be hounded. Is there, I know we talked about this briefly in the last time, but there's an intention to have it mobile possible or whatever, have the training be available to people on their phones?
Yep.
Cool. Thanks for the reassurance.
Yeah, anything that we can do to help facilitate you getting this out to your market manager, or I'm sorry, your vendors, we will be very happy to do. There's definitely a paper version that will be available because not everyone has the internet, and that's okay. I might be a little bit jealous. So, and then phones also, lots of people don't even have a computer anymore. They just have a phone. So we're definitely trying to make this transition as easy as possible. Also, part of the reason that we're switching, in addition to making your lives easier and the vendors' lives easier, is so that and by easier for them, I mean they don't have to sign a contract at every outlet they sell at. And the liability for if something is happening that isn't the right thing, the liability legally from the federal level is shifting from the market and the individual vendor to the NMFMA. So we're also trying to manage liability and make training across the state a little bit more of the same, as opposed to having it be different across the state. So I'm going to start with Liz.
Hello, I'm just wondering, so our market starts April 17th. Is this something that we should expect all of them to have taken before then? Or, okay, so then if they're not taking it before then, can they still accept double up until and just assume the same rules as last year?
Yeah, so the contracts that they signed last year don't expire until May 31st. So they're still all good. But we're not expecting everybody to just jump on and do it immediately either. So we're giving until July 1st to have the certificate.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So can I ask?
Andy.
Okay. So what you're saying is the market will sign, just for the Duffby, the market will have an application, the vendors will not, and all the vendors will need to go through training of
Correct.
this. Okay.
And the application for Double Up is the same application you guys always fill out for me. It's just updating market manager names and your the times that you're going to be open, and so it's the same one that you've always filled out for me.
Now, what are you saying then, though, that if we can start selling, if that training isn't available and we're open the beginning of June, we operate as though we did last year with the same people, but what if we have new ones?
There might be a little bit of a gap there. That's true. But the online training should be available in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I expect this to take a few months. That, like I said earlier, it's definitely going to be a big transition, and there are over 1,000 vendors and 100 of y'all, so it's a big ship to move. And if there's a little bit of, rough water, we'll get through it. Let's see,
I have a
Darcy.
I have a question. Is it possible to get the training in Spanish?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a couple of my vendors probably would be a lot more comfortable reading in Spanish than trying to decipher it on an English form.
Absolutely.
And they also need paper because they're.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, both languages and both technology solutions will be available.
Okay, great.
Darcy, I saw your hand up and then you put it down. Did your question get answered or did you have one?
I have to remember what it was. So when I remember what it was, I'll put my hand back up.
Okay, sounds good. Pauline?
So if a vendor comes on in like August, can they go through the training, or does all the training have to be done July 1st?
If they're new, they can log in and get the certificate or just do the training with you.
Okay.
Does this continue from year to year?
Yeah, it's got to be annual.
Sarah, will the markets continue to do their online reporting in a similar way for the people that sign up, but they're not signing up with the market? I'm a little confused.
I'm a little confused by your question. The online reporting, like the financial stuff?
For the Duffy and for the EBT sales. If we don't have individual contracts, are we still we're still responsible for reporting what those vendors do, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And you'll give us a list of those folks?
Absolutely.
And will
from y'all.
Will we have to do
if the vendor has the certificate, then you'll know that they're allowed to take the double up, and so you'll know that you can reimburse them. Or
will they need to do one for each market as we did in the past, or will it be global?
Global. So if they've got that
Great.
certificate, they can redeem double up or Fresh RX or Snap. Did I answer your question, Rhonda?
Yes, but it's sort of coming in from the back way. I guess I'm learning it backwards in a way, and
Okay.
but I want to be sure I got it going forward. You know what I mean? When you know more, sometimes you get you present something from your knowledge base, but not necessarily from mine. And I just want to be sure I understand what you're saying.
Sure. Yeah. When I send directions, if like written directions, if you have more questions, we can definitely talk it out on the phone. How's that sound?
I think I got it.
Okay.
Sarah,
Darcy?
one quick question, Sarah, from Bonnie Hopkins. Are we able as a market to set a deadline for doing the training for folks that join the market late? Like say you can't participate in the market this year if you don't do the training by July 30th, or will the training be open all season?
The training will be open all season, and you are welcome to make as many market rolls as you would like.
And Liz, the training is annual. They're going to have to do it every year. We're sorry, but that's kind of the coming from above.
Yep. Not me. Sorry. Darcy, did you remember your question?
Yes, I jumped in there and asked the question whether they were going to be global or not, and you answered.
Your hand was still up, so I was just trying to make sure. Hi, George. I see your hand up.
Thank you. It would be probably advantageous for a lot of us older folks who has a memory problem to have a list as these vendors have taken their training to have on file at the market, so that you say, do you have it? Show me your certificate, things like this. Just have a list. You won't have to do that time and time again, I think.
Yep. Absolutely. We'll definitely do that. Any other questions or concerns? Any questions or concerns about the token counting? Because that was also in there.
Janet has her hand up.
Yes, I was just wondering on the token counting, do you want us to just send you an email with our beginning count or?
That works.
Okay.
I have there's a like a Google form that we've used. I'll make sure that that link is still up on the market manager portal. So either way is fine.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I have
Jack-
a question about, oh, sorry.
Hold on one second, Andrea. Jackie has a technical question about how you raise your hand. Jackie, if you hover at the bottom of your screen, you should see all these different options: stop video, participants chat, share screen, and there should be a yellow hand. If you push on that yellow hand or click on it, it raises your hand. And then if you click again, it takes it back down.
No yellow hand.
No yellow hand.
No yellow hand on this particular format.
Also, if your screen isn't open to full screen, you don't have those options as well. So you might need to open to full screen.
And sometimes if you don't have the newest upgrade or update to Zoom, it might not show up.
That's probably it. I'll check that out.
You can also just start talking over whoever else is talking.
Or you can put a question in the chat and I'll make sure we get to it.
I'm glad I'm not the only person that doesn't have a yellow hand.
This is Gaia. I have a question.
Okay.
Can you just run through again how that training is going to work for people who don't have internet access and maybe also who Spanish is the first language? Like, how are they going to be, taken care of in this new?
Oh, it's on paper and it's in Spanish. The paper will be at the market manager's desk when they, or your booth when you at your market. So it's walk up to you, take the training, and you can fill out a certificate with them, and it's all good.
So so the way I'm envisioning it is they'll get a link to something called Talent LMS, and if you've been on any of our food safety trainings, they've been using Talent LMS for those classes, and from there they can choose which language is most appropriate. And then that way, because you're right, like Spanish, English, it's a whole thing. So then if they're at the farmer's market, if they don't have the capability to do the training online, then we'll have paper versions in Spanish and English. But I believe the certificates will all be in English.
Okay, so it's very similar in a sense because we've been doing this with people on the ground. And the difference is really just that some people are going to be able to do it ahead of time online and be a little bit responsible for themselves in some sense.
And that the certificate will travel market to market with them. They won't have to do several trainings if they go to several markets. They don't have to duplicate it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Andrea.
My question was about token counting and did you say only double up bucks counting? Yes. Okay, and then is that something, like, I know you just sent me, I should be going to the post office today to pick up the tokens you just sent me, and I don't even think I have 100 more than that in my store right now. Is it okay if I start my count this week with what with the new tokens and what I have available? Great, that would make it easiest. Okay.
Yep. Darcy, you had another question? Jackie, did you have a question?
Sorry, I was muted. This is Darcy.
Oh, okay.
How much time will it take to do the training?
It should take 15 minutes or less.
Okay, and when will the training be available?
ASAP.
Okay, and so we need a link to give to the vendors so they can go do the training?
I have to make it first, but yeah.
Okay, so you'll just let us know when it's ready.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
why I don't have a link right now, is because I haven't had a chance to actually get in there and create it.
Okay, but you'll let us know and that's all we need.
Yep,
Casey
absolutely.
asked if there will be an online site where they can see all the vendors who have completed the training.
Yes. Yes, Janet.
And I am also a vendor, but even if I weren't, it would be good for each market manager to go through it so they know what their vendors are going to be doing.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and then they
I mean,
should,
I'm not going to require it.
right, but it would be a good idea. But they need to display that certificate at their table, just like they do the WIC. And okay, super, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sarah, one more question in the chat. Will you print and mail the certificate to the vendors? WIC is mailed and laminated, which makes it so it doesn't get destroyed.
Right. I've been kind of going back and forth in my head about that one. I think if it's needed, then yes. But if somebody has a printer or they have access to a printer, then they should do it. But I don't necessarily have a problem doing it.
I heard you say that it's going to be a paper, there'll be a paper option. So that's something that when I have, because I have new vendors and sometimes it's so busy when they show up that I can't do like a really good training with them on their first morning. So I'll be able to just hand them on their first day this paper and have them certified in the first, before we open market, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as long as they get there early enough. Or you could say you can't take it this week, but next week come back with this and you can do it. Rhonda.
So I think there's one more piece of this that I think I understand. We are going to have access to the paper copy that we can share with our vendors if they are new and on that day. Is that correct?
Correct.
And where will we get that?
I will send it out.
Thank you.
Yep. And if you can't print this stuff, let me know because I can print it and send it.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And we recognize that printing is an equity issue. I mean, we are more than happy to print things out and send it. We're just trying to meet everybody's needs. So those folks with printers, go for it. Those who don't have printers, let us know, we'll send it out. And those who want to do it online, that's good too. So there really are lots of different combinations to make this work. And we realize that it's not going to look the same across markets. It's going to be a different combination of things that are needed.
The difference between, Santa Fe and Albuquerque and Fort Sumner and Rama are quite significant. So try and think about our frontiersmen and our city folk as well.
Sarah, I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions, but
it's okay.
It brings it up because the offline seems a little more flexible than the other one in a way for the managers. Can the managers issue the certificate or does that have to be sent back to you all?
The manager can issue the certificate.
Oh, okay.
We got about 3 more minutes for Any questions before we switch over to Fresh RX? Darcy?
When will this be available online? This session? Is it being recorded?
It is being recorded. Ashley, Michael, do you guys know when it's going to be available?
Not just yet. I have to do some editing and uploading and things like that. So it may be next week, but.
Ashley, are you going to post all of the sessions at once? Or are you going to put them up as you get them done?
Undecided, but
Okay.
is there a preference out there? Just curious.
Not for me. Will you send out an email and let us know that they're up?
Yeah, we'll try to do a broadcast email, just letting everybody know when they're available.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer's asking, why does it have to be every year? And we kind of agree with you, Jennifer. We're frustrated by that too. Again, this is written into our grants as of now. We can bring it up with the national folks, but for now, the way the grants look, they want an annual check-in.
SNAP also requires that any outlet, any firm, they call you firms, that's weird. Any firm that offers SNAP has to train their employees / vendors / volunteers once a year already. That's already a SNAP rule. But in the past, I was able to make the contracts last for double up for more than 1 year, but you guys were supposed to and did train everybody once a year at your vendor trainings. So kind of skated by, but now it's going to be definitely every year for all three. But we are trying to run it so that both Fresh RX and Double Up Food Bucks kind of feel the same for you guys. We really want to make it a team effort and have them integrate in a way that it feels like there's one nutrition incentive program at the NMFMA instead of having two discrete programs. From your perspective in reporting and that both programs are really close to the same. They're a little bit different, but we want to make it as seamless as possible. And this year is kind of wild, but.
When we do our online weekly reporting, will we be doing the Fresh RX reporting on the same form?
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pauline, you had a question?
Do you suggest that we continue sanitizing our tokens, or can that kind of go by the wayside?
Up to you.
Are other markets sanitizing their tokens?
It might depend on, if somebody went back to red, I would be more inclined to say yes. But since a lot of us are apparently in turquoise as of yesterday, then maybe not. I would say use your best judgment.
This is Liz from downtown in the city. When we're still getting our permit approved, and they're requiring that we still do it. So the city might require it of you.
We don't have that type of regulation in Valencia County, but I continue to do that anyway.
How are you sanitizing your wooden tokens? I'm just laying mine out in the sun for a good amount of time. But how are other people sanitizing the wooden ones?
Either sunshine or by UV lights is the way I do it.
And we just quarantine ours for 2 weeks in little buckets.
This is Siri from Santa Fe. We haven't been doing any sanitizing of our tokens, but they sit for a week basically between markets. And so we decided that was good enough.
Yeah, we haven't been sanitizing either since, especially since the information has been coming out, that fomite transmission, which is you know, transmission from touching isn't as much of a concern as they thought it was in the beginning of the pandemic. I'm really careful though when I see people eating at, I ask people not to eat at market, and when I see people eating or children holding tokens and like eating something, I'll remind them that the only time they're touching their mouth and their token and having that direct transmission is when they're eating, and we run up to them with hand sanitizer. But just that's the thing to remember, is it's that direct contact. Like if someone's eating something and they're paying vendors, and then that vendor is receiving the money, that I think is the most likely source of transmission. But I don't know that there's such a concern anymore about, like, especially if they're sitting for a week.
Sarah, I have a question about, I man the EBT machine. Do we have to go through training too? And is that different than what the vendors go through?
Well, I mean, you're at this training right now, so as a manager, this would be your yearly training.
Okay.
I mean, you can absolutely, you're welcome to take the vendor training, but it wouldn't be required.
Well, my question was related to, do I need to be certified to operate and sell the tokens or run the EBT machine? No. Okay.
You already are, between coming to this training and having the FNS authorization.
Okay. As
Yep.
far as the sanitizing the tokens, we stopped because of because I agree that they early on they decided last year that transmission of the virus wasn't done through touching things. It was mostly through breathing it in. So we stopped. I tried sanitizing the wooden tokens and it worked them. So we just stopped altogether, and it seems to be fine. So.
All right, we're getting really close to the end. Well, actually, we're over into Kristen's time. So any other questions you have about any of this stuff, we can talk about separately at a later time. And I'm going to let Kristen take over from here.
Yeah, should we switch over our screen, sweetie?
Yep, as soon as I can accomplish that.
No rush. We're all good.
Everybody's faces are like in the way of me clicking stop sharing.
Change your view.
There we go. Okay, I got it.
All right, let's go this way. Go here. And oh, it's going through things. There we go. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with us this long, everybody. I'm going to keep this brief because if you are a Fresh RX market manager, we've already chatted. I found this really great quote from Hippocrates. People have known for a long time that we need fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy food to stay healthy. It's nothing new, but it seems to be the wave of the future. It seems like the USDA is waking up to the fact that people need access to good food and healthy food to address health concerns and chronic illness. And that is what produce prescriptions are all about. They are about getting healthy foods into the hands of the people that can benefit from them the most health-wise. And so patients all over the country are going to their local healthcare providers. In our case in New Mexico, it's the federally qualified community health centers, and they are getting vouchers to spend at farmers markets. In New Mexico, there are a lot of good reasons to pursue produce prescriptions. The goal is to increase fruit and vegetable consumption. And from the practitioner's point of view, from a nurse or a doctor's point of view, to reduce healthcare costs, to reduce the number of visits somebody comes and has to deal with their diabetes or their high blood pressure. From the patient's point of view, they're hoping to feel better and be better. And of course, from the NMFMA, we're trying to support the local farmers and the local markets. We're trying to reduce food insecurity, and we're trying to, grow the community and support the community. So it's really one of these great feel-good programs. Everybody wins. The patient wins, The nurse and the doctors win, the farmers win, and the community wins. In New Mexico, we have a 3-year grant. The way it looks now for the next few years, we'll be trying to enroll 400 patients across the state. And the people enrolling those patients are at 18 federally qualified healthcare centers. These are the clinics that tend to serve people who have the least access to healthcare. These are folks on Medicaid. These might be folks who aren't part of the system at all and really need these inexpensive or free health services. For now, we're at 19 markets. We don't know what that will look like in the future. If we're able to expand, hopefully we can go ahead and get into more markets. Denise Miller put her head down and ran the calculations, and they're expecting about $210,000 of extra sales annually at CSAs and farmers markets, thanks to the patients coming in with their vouchers. We just had a long conversation about eligibility. Sarah and I talk about eligibility all the time. We drive people at the national level a little bit nuts, trying to nail down. We wish it were simpler. It's just not. It's a little bit complicated. But the nuts and bolts are that they're trying to get folks to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. Somebody went to Congress and said, you know, if people eat more fruits and vegetables, they're going to be healthier. So they make it kind of in a little box for us to administer. So it's got to be fresh. And because we care about New Mexico farmers, it's got to be grown in New Mexico. Can't be from Texas, can't be from Colorado if you're selling to FreshRx customers. It's got to be fruit or veggies, except when it's not. For example, pinto beans are good to go. So we understand that it gets a little complicated in the details, but overall, fruits and vegetables and fresh. Not processed, not fried, not warm, not hot, basically in a bag and ready to go home to cook with. So the way it works is a little bit different than with Double Up Food Bucks. With Double Up Food Bucks, somebody presents their EBT card at market. The patients being enrolled by the clinics don't even have to be on SNAP. So instead of presenting an EBT card at market, they're going to show up with a voucher or a prescription, depending on the terminology. But basically it's going to be a piece of paper, and these pieces of paper are in weekly amounts, and the amounts vary by clinic, which is a little bit tricky, but the amount will be written on the voucher. So you'll know how many tokens to give somebody. It's anywhere from $12 to $30 a week, depending on which clinic the patient is coming from. Sarah and I are hoping that the way to track these will be simplified. We're hoping to have on that piece of paper a QR code that can be scanned either in the moment or later when you've got connectivity. And that should more make it automatic to communicate with the clinic, hey, this person came with their voucher and used it today. Because it's really the clinics that need to know who's using their vouchers, how often, and they need to communicate with their patients to make sure that they're actually showing up and participating in the program. Anybody have any questions so far? All right. We hate to add another token to your lives, but we're adding another token to your lives. We're going to have $1 wooden tokens. So when somebody shows up with their $12 voucher, or 2 $12 vouchers, or 3 $12 vouchers, they can be redeemed for $1 wooden tokens. They'll be purplish with a beat. Siri.
I just want to confirm for those of us that participated in FreshRx through Presbyterian and other providers before that this is a brand new token. So the old FreshRx tokens that we used before are to be eliminated, correct?
That is correct. And okay. You know, Presbyterian did FreshRx, but there are other tokens out there too. And so it would have gotten to be such a mess with different tokens.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just want to, before I throw them in the incinerator, I just want to make sure we don't need them for anything. So thank you.
Put them in the wood chipper and, do some mulching.
Yeah, they're a fire starter, man.
They're
Thank you.
great. Yeah, absolutely. And the new ones are, I'm going to be sending you emails in the coming days with the calculation of how many tokens Sarah and I think your market will need. Take a look at that number. If you think we're way off, let me know. And we're going to go ahead and order those tokens really soon. But look for that email and let me know if you think the number is wonky. And we're ordering from where we've always ordered. It's the same place in Texas. And we've already sent them a really cute logo that Denise Miller helped us, get designed with our designer. And we're going to go for it from there. And of course, the tokens will be tracked, just like you do with the Double Up food bucks. It's going to feel very similar. The daily record sheet is just going to have one more column, really, for FreshRx.
Yeah, so if you look in the Nutrition Incentive Manager
guide,
forms, in the manager guide, the forms for customer records and vendor records look different for you guys. So you can print the new form and it has space for both, and that way when you go to do the online reporting, it'll be the same all across the board.
Sarah and I have put a bit of brain work into making sure the online reporting, will be as painless as we can make it. That's what she's working on now. She's building out a new system so that both programs feel like one program when you're reporting. And we know it's in your interest, it's in our interest, it's in the government's interest. They're really looking for streamlined reporting and accurate reporting coming from the grantees as well. So hopefully it's going to be a win-win for all of us when we get this new system up and running. What's a little bit different with FreshRx as opposed to Double Up food bucks is we have a community of practice written into the grant. And that is basically anybody participating in the program is welcome to come and discuss the program. We're especially envisioning, those clinicians who are writing those prescriptions to the patients and the market managers, but other people are welcome as well. We're thinking of, unfortunately, Zoom up to 4 times a year, where we kind of brainstorm and listen and learn on the fly. So as things come up, we can address them, as opposed to waiting to after the season is done and then sort of doing a look back, trying to address things as they come up. So will all be invited to these community of practice meetings. I think it's a great idea to strengthen the program, to make sure that people at the clinics know the people at the markets and vice versa. Because after all, you are kind of partnering with one another, even if I'm sort of the middleman, making sure that it all goes through there, you're ultimately partnering with these clinics. And then, we don't really launch until July, the exception being Anthony Youth Farm down in Anthony in Las Cruces. But the rest of us are looking at a July launch. That's going to give the clinics time to enroll patients. The clinics are crazy right now with vaccinations and testing, but they're all committed to making this work. And so just a few little things coming up for market managers and vendors. Of course, it's the training that Sarah talked about. I will be sending out agreements that just need to be signed between the NMFMA and the CSAs and the markets. The agreements are good for the life of the grant. So we should only have to do this once every 3 years. And it's not really a formal contract. It's just an agreement, getting our good intentions down there. There's some funky wording in there that came from on high, from the GusNIP people. So if the wording seems a little strange, feel free to reach out to me. It's probably there because the grant givers want it in there. And then again, the whole token thing, look for that email. We'll get you out there. We'll get some tokens ordered. We'll get them sent to you, and we should be up and ready to go by July. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Tamara asked if the tokens have expiration dates.
The tokens do not. The vouchers do. So we're really encouraging the patients to participate and to show up at the markets. So the concept with the vouchers will be that they'll be good for this particular season, but won't be good for next season. So they'll have an expiration date on there.
But if somebody has a Fresh Arcs token and they keep it over the winter and try and spend it in the spring or the summer, then that's fine.
That is fine.
There also Jackie asked if there was a list of the healthcare centers. Jackie's in Rama.
There is, and I can provide that. Right now, the healthcare centers, they really are all over the state, but they're not everywhere. So Rama is not on the list. But we're in places like Silver City. We're in places like Las Cruces, all through the Albuquerque region, Santa Fe, Taos, Espanola. We're negotiating still with Presbyterian about Tucumcari and Santa Rosa. We're not sure where they're going to come down yet.
Is there anything like, are there IHS participants, and is there anything in Gallup or grants?
At the moment, no. Right now, we're with the federally qualifying. We are not with the Indian Health Services. My grant was specifically for the federally run clinics.
Which would be an IHS.
Yeah, but for now,
this is federal.
They're also a little bit different, and
they're adjacent.
They're adjacent. And this is the first year that the Fresh RX is going to be available. So we anticipate that it will grow in the future. So if you're really interested in this for your area, it doesn't mean that you won't ever be able to have it. It just means that this year it's not available.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. It's not technically a pilot, but in some ways it feels a little bit like a pilot.
And both Sarah and I just attended an online convening of nutrition incentives folks from all over the country. And the world is very interested in produce prescriptions right now. So cross our fingers for, tapping into that interest and tapping into funds and really being able to expand this to lots of different clinics across the state, because that ultimately is our goal, of course, is to be in as many clinics as we can. Part of it, though, too, we have to remember is clinic capacity. Not every clinic, IHS or federally qualified or whoever, has the manpower to oversee this kind of a program. So it's also on the clinics to decide what's going to work for them.
It's also really heavily dependent on red tape. Between working with HIPAA and federally qualified centers that have different rules that they have to follow and different rules that we have to follow, and product availability issues, capacity issues on every front. It's a little bit more complicated than it seems like on its face. And also I see a comment about disappointing that it's not with IHS. At this time, it's not. It doesn't mean it can't grow. And also IHS wasn't, they're federally qualified, they're federally run, but it's not the same as a federally qualified like with Medicaid. So they are different programs, and they're not exactly the same. Kind of like the Dipper isn't the same as SNAP, but they're both federally run and they're giving food to people who need food. So it is a little bit more complicated than it looks like on its face. And we're definitely aware that this program could expand, but we also have to realize the difficulties of getting it expanded and aware that it takes time.
Sarah, I just realized I never corrected this slide. My phone number is not there.
Oh, oops.
Yep, it's on me. And one last thing about clinics, I want also you to know that the Navajo Nation is running a produce prescription program, and they're making it work out there. So I am super eager to reach out to them and hear how they're making it work and put our heads together and see what we can do for everybody in New Mexico, for sure.
That's interesting because the Rama market is located between the Zuni Pueblo and Rama Navajo reservation. So part of the Navajo Nation is right here. So
you can probably Google
it. They have a program like that then.
They're running it through Cope, Jackie. You could probably get in contact with Carol. She'd probably be able to let you know what's going on there.
Okay, that's helpful.
It sounds like they're doing more food boxes, but you can check it out.
Definitely. Kristen, I had a question, a direct message question on my chat that asked what the reimbursement process is. And the reimbursement is the same as Double Up. Like if you're getting funds ahead from Double Up, you'll get funds ahead from FreshRx. If you're getting reimbursed for Double Up, you'll get reimbursed for FreshRx, unless that doesn't work for you. So you can let us know what works the best. And then also there was a question, are the farm stands doing the FreshRx? Right now, not set up to do it. There are a couple of CSA type programs that are doing it, but not this year.
Sarah, or Kim, I want to clarify, if you've not been doing the FreshRx in the past, you're not going to do it this year. It's going to be a pilot program with people who've done it in the past. Is that correct?
Not necessarily, no.
It's that you know, the markets were written into the grant. So certain markets were chosen during the grant writing process, and we're launching with those guys. We will definitely try to expand as we go, but we're starting with a certain subset, and they don't necessarily have had to participate in a produce prescription before.
But they have been already selected, and if I haven't heard anything, I should wait till next year.
Yeah, sit tight.
Okay, fine, that's good.
And you know, it might be more than next year. Depends on what kind of funding. Right now, it's a 3-year grant. We have a certain amount of funding for a certain amount of, you know, vouchers and such. So if the way to get in would be if it doesn't work at a certain market, we might look at another market to get in, or if we're able to get outside funding sources.
I have a question about publicity. Some of our, it looks like if there are only 19 markets participating, most markets in the state are not in this program. So when you do publicity, are you going to partner with the Double Up food box brochures? You're going to be separate publicity? And the reason I'm asking is that I get hundreds of calls from customers every year, and they want to know about everything. And so one of the questions might be, and I'm just saying for us, is your market involved in this FreshRx? And what's our answer? No, but why?
So to start, there won't be very much, if at all,
public
publicity about this program, because the participants are going to go to their doctor's office. Their doctor's going to say, hey, you have this diet related disease and you are food insecure. So would you like to be in this program? And if they want to be in the program, they're going to have to go through a lot of health checks. Like they're going to take all their vitals and track their health outcomes over time. And so it's more than just Double Up. It's a whole program behind the scenes, and they'll say, like, here's the voucher. You can go to one of these markets in your area or the market in your area and get this voucher turned into tokens, and you can spend it. And so it's a lot more involved than like Double Up is, but since it's such a relationship, we're not going to be advertising like change your primary care provider to one of these clinics. That won't work. So, and it's also not a whole lot of patients either. And one of the reasons that we kept a smaller and specific amount of outlets is so that since there is kind of a small amount of patients, if we trained every vendor and every market manager around the state to have just a few hundred customers, nobody's going to remember what happens when this one kind of vague token shows up. So keeping the amount of outlets that are available in relation to the amount of customers that are available to like a good ratio, that way that it's not too spread out and the vendors are getting kind of overwhelmed and confused and mistakes happen.
Good answer, thank you.
Mhm.
Will you be also, but now this is only for you, Sarah, will you be doing another brochure for the Double Up Food Bucks this year?
Yep.
That we can pass out?
For sure.
Okay.
We're right at time, it looks like. Any more burning questions? Again, with Fresh RX, we have until July to really nail this down. So hopefully, by then, the new online reporting will be up and running. Everybody will be comfortable with that. We will work out the kinks with things like the CSAs because, tokens and vouchers and CSA is a little bit tricky, but we've already had some pretty good conversations about that. And feel free, again, I'm going to put it back on Sarah. If I'm not available, reach out to Sarah. If Sarah's not available, reach out to me. Between the two of us, we should get most things covered, and then yell at us when we don't. We've got thick skins. It's all good. And, thanks for helping us make this work. It's going to be great. It's a wonderful thing to offer folks. And let's just hope we can offer it to more and more people as time goes on.
This is Darcy. I have one more quick question. That is, I got a form in the mail called an NMFA Nutrition Incentive Program application. What is that related to?
Oh, that's to sign up for Double Up.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Will do.
It's that new terminology. Yeah, I know. There's
It's like, what is this thing?
Yeah. So start thinking nutrition incentive, get that idea in your head for, that's the newest lingo for both our programs. It's just getting folks the nutrition they need.
I have one final question. I got a letter about the funds and from like a tax perspective, and we've gotten this before. Do we just throw these away, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do anything with it. You might want to just throw it with your market paperwork.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Well, it was great to see all of your faces, and hopefully I can see all your faces in person.
Yeah,
soon.
we want to come visit everybody. Road trips are definitely in the future.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, everybody, we have about a 15-minute break before we start our forum for new farmers markets, what the NMFMA can do for you. But before we start that, I'd like to play a quick little ad for you about one of our great programs called Good Food NM. So stay tuned, and I'm going to get this going for you all. Hold on, sorry, technical issues over here.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael Green. If you were at the staff meet and greet on Monday, you know I'm the Good Food NM coordinator. Today, I want to tell you all the ways that getting your customers to sign up for the Good Food NM texting program will benefit them and your vendors. But first, in case you don't know about Good Food NM, I'll give you an overview. Good Food NM is a bilingual health communication program to promote good food and healthy eating habits. Good Food NM sends 1 to 2 text messages per week to subscribers. These messages include recipes, market locators, nutrition information, and weekly market reminders. Text messaging is a powerful tool for building and maintaining relationships. Text messages have a 98% open rate, and according to the CDC, text message outreach encourages participation, conversation, and community. Now let me tell you about some of the benefits of the Good Food NM texting program. Number 1, subscribers will receive a weekly reminder of market hours, so they don't forget to shop. This is something we set up for each outlet as soon as you let us know your 2021 location and hours. All you have to do is promote the program and get customers signed up. 2, customers will also learn the benefits of buying locally grown and produced food. 3, subscribers will receive information about what's in season for customers who may not know. 4, they will also receive recipes that show delicious ways that locally grown food can be prepared. 5, they will also receive cooking tips for people finding themselves more steeped in the kitchen and using vegetables they may not be familiar with. 6, I do all the translating, so every text message goes out in Spanish for those customers who subscribe for Spanish messages. And 7, there really are no disadvantages. All of the texts ultimately raise awareness about the benefits of buying locally grown food. And, again, all you need to do is get customers signed up. And we'll do the rest. Getting customers signed up is simple. They just need to text the word peach to 21333. We even provide outreach material with this information to help with the process. One last thing I'd like to mention. Good Food NM partners with outside organizations to promote good food and healthy eating habits to those organizations and their constituents. If you work for an organization and you would like to regularly communicate about the benefits of good food and healthy eating habits, then Good Food NM could be a good fit for you there as well. I'm here to help you, and I'm available at any time to answer any questions or concerns that you might have. This is a service first and foremost for you, our members, and my goal is to help all of you feel comfortable enough to implement Good Food NM at your market. Thank you so much.